So today on the Bearded Home Cook, we tackle something that used to be super fancy, and now unfortunately people get a little lazy with it. Ensalada Caprese. So call me Caprese, we're gonna have a fun twist on this Italian classic. Just check it out. Okay, I promise that's not the Caprese that I'm making for you. That picture was just to show you what we've all come accustomed to when we order it in a restaurant or a friend says, hey, I'm gonna bring over some Caprese. And you're like, the what? Oh, the tomato and mozzarella. And unfortunately, we've just really ruined this dish for ourselves. A lot of the tomatoes you buy in the grocery store are hot house, or they're like flash frozen to change the color, which means it's underripe, it's under ready, and they still get it to turn red, so we buy it, and then when you slice through it, it's just mush. It's gross. So do yourself a favor. Look for vine-ripe tomatoes like these baby San Marzanos I found. They're bright red by nature, which is wonderful. They're super sweet inside. There's baby heirlooms. They're like grape and cherry size, multicolors. They're fantastic. Look for something like that. Give your Caprese a little extra flair by taking attention to the ingredients, which leads me to the next ingredient, mozzarella. Nice block of mozzarella. I'm going for kind of a uniform size here and keep it super cold. So I'm gonna get this back in the fridge in just a second. The basil's still growing over here. I promise I've got some fresh basil for you. That'll pop up in just a second. You can buy the plant, you can buy the leaves, you can buy all of this stuff at a produce store. So I'm not asking you to find anything you can't find readily. So now I've got two extra pieces to it that I think you're gonna enjoy. One of them, which to me almost takes the star spotlight in the show, is prosciutto. Wait till you see what I do with this. But the saltiness of it, going with the sweeter tomato and the ooey gooey cheesy, it's like, yeah, really, it doesn't get any better. And then of course I've got a piece of baguette, because we're gonna serve it with a little crostini just to kind of keep the whole thing as one well-rounded appetizer. Of course, tomatoes beg to be served with a crostini, so this just kind of pulls it all together. So I'm gonna bring you in nice and close, and we're just gonna get a little bit of handwork done here with the knife, and we'll get this thing started. See you in a second. Okay, so I'm pretty sure you all know how this works, but I'm just gonna cover some basics here real quick just to make sure we got this. So we're gonna cut the bread, then we're gonna cut the tomatoes, because the thing is we want the tomatoes to sit in a little bit of olive oil and salt and pepper, and the bread to turn it into a crostini means we're gonna have to add heat to it in this pan, and then I wanna let it air a little bit too, so it'll cool off, but then it'll crisp up a little bit more. So the bread's gotta come first. We're gonna get this rolling. So serrated knife, you wanna cut the first one on a bit of an angle, which leaves you with this nice little piece of bread for later. It's always a nice snack for the chef. And then cut these on a little bit of a bias, probably about 1/4 of an inch thick. Nothing crazy, so a little bit goes a long way with the bread. So we're just gonna get a few of these going just to kind of set the example real quick. So nothing crazy. Okay, I'm gonna move that back here. Now when you're working with a beautiful tomato like this, you don't have to do much to it. So olive oil and salt and pepper, and we're just gonna cut these down the middle. Now I promised you a beautiful tomato. Look at that. That is gorgeous. And the nice part is, unlike a regular tomato, you don't have any of the tips that you have to really worry about where the stem connected. So you can literally just cut these right down the middle, throw them in a bowl, and be ready to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep cutting here. We're gonna come back in just one more second. Super easy episode. I promise y'all are gonna love this, but you don't really need to watch me cutting bread and cutting tomatoes. So we'll be right back. Told you that was quick. So I've got 10 pieces of bread sliced up. I've got my prosciutto sitting over here getting ready to get cut, and I'm gonna show you how I do that here in just one second. I've got these beautiful tomatoes. We're just gonna add a little salt, some pepper, some olive oil, and we're gonna be in business. So we like to grind our salt in our house. I know it seems quirky, but we got this cool little grinder, so why not, right? Get some pepper going. I do love black pepper, so this is kind of my vice, it's okay. And then about 2 tablespoons of olive oil, nothing crazy. We just want enough to coat it, just to kind of make it look beautiful. We're gonna get it inside the refrigerator here and keep them nice and bright and cold. So we're just gonna let those mix up a little bit. We're gonna get ready to toast these, then we're gonna come back to this and the mozzarella in just one second. Okay, so I'm gonna get the stove fired up. We wanna get a nice little light toast on these. I don't really wanna change the color too much, probably just get the edges to change color a little bit. I don't want them to be too dark. I'm just looking for a nice dry crostini, a nice toast. So we're gonna put a little bit of olive oil on here. Not worried about a brush or anything to that effect. This bread, as you might have seen, is super, super porous. So I've got lots of holes that this oil is gonna find its way through. So nothing to worry about with, you've gotta brush every little edge of it. We're actually gonna put it oil side up and allow the oil to work its way down through the bread and then flip it. just to kind of keep it from being super greasy or super charred on any one side. Again, light toast. I'm on a 6 out of 10, so kind of medium to medium high heat, nothing crazy. The pan's already getting hot, so we're gonna go ahead and pop these babies in. Okay, the bread's in. We're giving it a little time to toast. Now I'm gonna show you something neat back over this way to explain why I'm gonna cut the prosciutto. So we'll check this out in 1 second. Okay, so this isn't shop class. I'm not gonna make you pull out a ruler, but there's a reason why I picked this specific prosciutto. And I'm gonna show you right here. If you can look down and see, the mozzarella is just about half the size of this prosciutto. So it really makes it easy to wrap them because I'm gonna cut them in half and I'm gonna roll them around a slice of the mozzarella. So again, to make life easy, you find ingredients that work well together. And I know that sounds crazy, but I took this over to the meat shelf and I found the correct prosciutto. Some of them are very long and narrow. They don't give you the same kind of wrap that I'm looking for. So when you see this all together, you're gonna go, oh, that totally makes sense. But right now, you probably think I'm a little nuts. It's okay. We're gonna show you how this works. So simply get a nice sharp knife, come right down the middle. All these papers in here are to help you separate the prosciutto. We're gonna take 1/2 for now. This half, we're gonna save for something else because this is gonna be a lot harder to work with. And now you'll notice we're gonna have a nice wrap, all right? I'm gonna check on my toast and we're gonna come right back to this. Okay, I just gave those suckers a quick little flip, easy peasy. I'm pretty sure you can figure that out for yourself. I'll bring you over to the pan here in just 1 second, but we've still got another couple minutes while they're working on the second side. So again, the cheese nice and cold. We'll take it out of the wrapper. And this is a very flat side. We don't want to work with this side because it's rounded, so this is where it must have been at the end. So again, we're working on symmetry. And we want to cut these a little bit thicker than the bread. So as you go through it with a very sharp knife, you want to end up somewhere probably a little under 1/2 inch. Nice thick cut. Okay, so if we're going to make 8 of these, we're going to need 4 slices. And as sharp as your knife is, I have to promise you, mozzarella is a very thick and dense cheese. So it takes a little bit of effort, especially when you have olive oil on your fingers from the bread. Okay, we'll put you over there. It's gonna make for a great snack later. We're just gonna come down. Now we're gonna cut these into essentially 2 equal pieces. See how nice those line up? So we're gonna do that with each one. Promised you a look at the pan, see nothing crazy, light toasting, all right? You notice that the pan's not oily. Again, we just put a little bit on the bread, let it soak in. So again, this is kind of what we're going for. So we're gonna give them another minute or so on this flip side, and then they'll be coming out. I'm gonna set them on some paper towel to rest and make sure that we dry them out so they're nice and crunchy. Okay, so I'm back from the basil plant. I know that sounds like a long walk. It's literally right at the end of the counter. And I've come back with 4 really nice wide leaves. Now the reason why I'm about to cut them, just so you're aware, is if you look at the width, this is significantly wider than this. And I don't want to wrap the basil around the end. I just want it to kind of be a feature on one side of the cheese. So we're going to try to lay these out kind of flat. It's always fun because the basil leaves like to kind of turn up and cup. And just run right down the middle of the seam. And then you've got these pretty uniform slices of basil. So I'm going to kind of show you the idea here. Is you're going to take one. I'm going to follow the curve. So I'm going to put the curved side to the curved side just because I can. Set it down. And then prosciutto is always separated by this beautiful little paper. So it makes it super easy because this stuff is sliced very, very thin to keep them apart and just gently work it off with the paper. I'm going to turn this way just to make it a little bit easier for you. So I'm going to turn the flat edge of our cheese toward you, and then I'm going to take the flat cut edge also, and I'm just going to roll it over and then over again. And what you have is a nice little basil leaf underneath the prosciutto on a piece of mozzarella. So we're going to do it again. So again, curve to the curve, pull this off. The colder the prosciutto, the easier it is to do the pull. The warmer it is, the stickier it gets because it's got some fats and stuff in there, and I mean, if you can keep them cold, just like we're keeping the cheese cold, it just really likes to work a little bit better. And you could pick it up to roll it. It really is totally your preference. And then roll. You're gonna have pieces off the end and stuff, and you're gonna tuck them. The idea is a little hanging off is totally okay. We just wanna make sure that there's prosciutto all the way around and that the little basil leaf is in there too. All right, so I'm gonna keep rolling and we'll see you back here in 1 second. Well, that wasn't so hard, was it? Take a quick look, just so you can get a good view of what these 8 babies look like. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and heat up our pan. So I've already got the burner turned on. Same thing, just past medium, towards medium high. I've got it on the 6 out of 10. We're gonna turn around here. We're gonna get these in the pan. No oil. There's enough oil between the prosciutto with the fats in the ham. You can see a little bit of the white on there because obviously there's some fat. And then of course the cheese has fat. I use the regular whole milk mozzarella when I make something like this. We're not really looking to go on a diet, so the part skim stuff's just not in the equation. And this is gonna give off enough fat. We're gonna get a great little browning on there. We're gonna get a little bit of a melt. The basil is gonna wake up from the heat, and it's gonna be a really cool thing. So we're gonna spin around and get over to the stove. I'll see you over there. Okay, pan's nice and toasty. Now, if you watched how I rolled them, the extra is a little bit on the top with the basil, and that's good because we don't want the basil to get out. This side I'm not worried about. The cheese is gonna get out a little bit, but I don't want the basil to get out. So when you were rolling them, if there was a little excess, I wanted it on the basil side, and that's gonna be the side that goes face down in the pan. Obviously, you can hear the sizzle. It's always good when you know you've warmed the pan up properly. Sit, because again, when we put things in there, we wanna hear it sizzle. You don't want gray food because you did it too soon. We want a nice light brown on the prosciutto. We want to render some of the fat from both the cheese and from the prosciutto. And then just remember the order that you put them down in because you're gonna flip them in that same order. So I'm gonna bring you over here real quick to see what's in the pan, and then we're gonna come right back. Listen to that sizzle. And so what I did is I started back there, and then there, and then there, and then there, and so on. So I'll be able to flip them in that order here in just a second. And we're probably only going about 75 seconds, maybe 90 seconds on each side. Really, really not a lot because I don't want the cheese to melt. I just want to warm it. Okay, so we're a little bit past a minute. I've got a little bit of cheese leaking out of one of them. But look at that beautiful color. That's what we're going for. I'm gonna just flip that baby over and keep on trucking. Make sure to use a non-stick pan. We don't want to lose any prosciutto in the making of this dish. But at the same time, when the cheese does come out, because some will come out, it's bound to happen, you want to make sure that it's not going to stick. We want to get these out in one piece and have a very pretty presentation. Okay, so this tasty treat is just about ready for its close-up. So off to the side here, on parchment paper, I have these beautiful prosciutto-wrapped mozzarella slices with basil inside. I've already started to place my crostini. I've got my tomatoes fresh out of the refrigerator. And I've got a few more leaves of basil that I'm just gonna roll up and then slice into little slivers. If you recall from a previous episode, that is the chiffonade. It sounds so fancy, but the idea is we just wanna have these pretty little ribbons of basil to go on top of the tomatoes to just kind of complete the presentation and give us something tasty. We don't want a ton because we already have basil inside with the cheese. But this is just a pretty little finish. So we're gonna go ahead, just start laying these babies out. The nice part is they cool fairly quick, but they don't get cold, which is great because the cheese kind of came out of the ends, and when you're placing them, you don't want it to continue to ooze out. So you'll notice it's soft, but it's not going everywhere. And that's really what makes me happy. So we've got that. We're gonna go ahead and just lay some of these beautiful tomatoes in the middle. Wonderful. A couple more of those. You know somebody's gonna want all the tomatoes. Get a little bit of basil on top. And there you have it, my take on a caprese salad. Yes, it's not a salad. It's barely even a caprese, but it's taking those ingredients, doing something a little bit different, and keeping it nice and Italian. The bright, sharp flavors of the tomato, the crunch from the crostini, the warm, gooey cheese with the basil, and the salty prosciutto. I mean, come on. This beats anything you're gonna get in a restaurant for 10 bucks, I promise you. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on the video. Don't forget to tag us whenever you make this kind of stuff, because I really want to see what you guys are cooking. We call it the Bearded Home Cook, but the idea behind it is homemade easy. So if this isn't easy, I don't know what is. Get out there, have some fun, treat your friends. We'll see you soon. Cheers.